Even if you're good at acting confident, you may be giving off signs that you feel less than other people. Just feeling badly about yourself can have the effect of pushing those good people away from you, and in turn makes it harder to heal. In this video from my archive, I teach about what I call the underdog effect. It's the set of unspoken signals that you may be giving off that you don't feel good about yourself, and what you can do to free yourself from trauma energy and relate to other people freely as yourself. There's a thing you might be doing that makes it very hard to heal from past trauma. And it's when you're thinking and eating and breathing this damaged idea of yourself. Even though you're not conscious you're doing it, you're signaling to people your low self-esteem. That hurts your ability to have positive relationships, and that in turn makes it harder to heal. You've maybe noticed that this is when your childhood PTSD symptoms are up again. It's as if you have a dark cloud around you that people can feel, and it pushes them away. There's this weird thing that can happen when abuse and neglect from your childhood are hanging around you like a cloak, not a very nice cloak, and it holds you down, it weighs you down, it pushes your head down, and I call it the underdog effect. It's like an identity. It's an energy that can block your ability to connect with people, and it can stop your healing right when you need it the most. So some people call this dark cloud, it's a vibe, a feeling, bad energy, but a simple way of describing the underdog effect is a set of nonverbal signals that you communicate to other people just by being you. And whether you mean to or not, you're telling people about your inner state. We all have a nervous system, and whether we are consciously aware of it or not, we read and feel each other's emotional state through our own nervous system and through nonverbal cues. And when I'm feeling low self-esteem, I usually would rather hide it, but people are going to sense it. Have you had this happen? When you're trying to say everything's fine and people keep asking you, are you okay? Are you okay? Because even though you have a huge smile and you're saying cheerful things, people can tell you're about to cry. It's embarrassing sometimes. And in a way, it's good that people are connected like that. They can tell when you feel shame or when you feel like you don't belong or like everyone's against you. When you feel this bad, but you want to hide it, it's a huge conflict inside. We all know what that's like. They don't have to read our minds because we're showing that with our words, our facial expressions, the way we dress, our posture, right? The way we respond to things or don't respond. People can sense it. And by the way, you can sense this in animals too. Like, have you ever met a dog who was abused in the past, and when you go, hey doggy, come over here, how's it going? And the dog thinks that they're in trouble and their head goes down and they tremble. Well, we do the human equivalent of that. We think, oh, I think I must have done something inappropriate and I'm ashamed. And we're like broadcasting that to everybody. When I used to do that, I'd be ashamed for being ashamed even. And I'd try to cover it by acting tough or cocky or funny or just, I don't know, focusing on myself too much, blabbing, driving people away. So childhood PTSD is so hard because when you're lonely, it makes you lonelier. And when you're having a hard time, it makes everything harder. It's a downward spiral sometimes. Have you felt it? Hello, I'm the underdog. So what do you do to stop playing that role of the shame person? I'm going to show you how to make it stop so that you can get back on your feet and connect with people again and start taking positive actions again toward your healing. So first, let's look at what's generating that dark cloud. It begins with harsh events in your life that maybe started in childhood, things like neglect or abuse that came from the people you trusted. Now, most of us had some good experiences too, but if the bad stuff is big enough, it can get stuck in your self-concept, who you understand yourself to be. And this can carry on for years or decades past the original hurt. You get so used to it, you don't even know you're doing it. And it doesn't stop there. The unhealed wounds of the past can push you along into more wounding. Past trauma creates present-day trauma. That's how it works. And soon, even though you're trying hard and you'd never want to make things worse for yourself, you're bringing more problems into your life. problem people, problem situations. The problems go from existing in our outer circumstances to getting internalized and becoming part of the personality, part of our experience. Now, for some people, this is permanent, which is terrible. But I'm here to tell you that the wounds of past trauma really can be healed. And it might take a lot of focus and self-mastery, but when you can face the part of the problem that you've internalized, this is a great day, because this is the part, not your parents, not their failure to ever recognize what they did or apologize to you. It's not anything in the past. It's you right now. That's the part where there is the potential for change. Now, if you think you can't change until someone else changes, there are plenty of YouTube channels out there that will nurture that idea for you. Here, we're all about that change within. Even when you haven't started yet, or the change that you managed to make today is so small that you're embarrassed to tell anyone. But this is how you lose that low self-esteem. You take back your power from whatever happened to you, and you start to change the things that are right in front of you. It's astonishing how much you can heal your self-esteem by changing the problems in your life right now. This usually happens not in big grand transformations, but in a lot of little small steps taken over time. So how do you get there? How do you get free? If you could look back in time and see perfectly clearly, you'd see three things going on where you took on that role of underdog. And it's a combination of bad habits, faulty decisions, and distorted perceptions, all right? So habits, decisions, and perceptions. You never chose to be this way. These are just common side effects of early trauma. And they came originally from your experiences like being neglected and judged and invalidated, ignored, stigmatized, bullied, or abused. These are real wounds, and it wasn't your fault, but now it's internalized. So here's how you change. Not by going back in time, not by trying to get an apology from the people who hurt you. That could happen, but even if they apologized, even if the world totally changed so that these hurts never again happen to another kid, I mean, that would be great, but you would still have the habits, and you would still have the faulty decisions and the difficulties with clear perception that you have right now. So that's what I mean when I say this is an inside job. Other people don't actually hold the key to healing your self-esteem. They can influence you, but you hold the key. You hold the key. Now, other people did harmful things, but now you're the one healing your self-esteem. It seems like the people who hurt you should do it. I know, I agree. But that's a dead end, and you can't afford to wait for that. You get to move forward powerfully with your healing and take your focus inward. Was there a point where you didn't know how to set a boundary, or maybe you hurt someone, or was there a time when you let yourself down? That's why we take the focus inward. It's a noble and holy thing to do, this self-searching, to see if there's a part that we're ready to change. And I know in the kind of families we all came from, we didn't always get taught how to change our habits and improve our decisions and our perceptions. But we figured it out, and I'm going to teach you now. So just to keep things simple, let's take the example of being late for work all the time. That's a bad habit, and if it's happening consistently, it's no accident. It's a decision that's causing that. And assuming you want to have this job, it's a faulty decision, or a whole series of faulty decisions to not get up on time, to leave all the work of getting ready until the last minute, or just to let yourself get distracted, whatever the reason is. Now, probably the reason is dysregulation. I know that, which is normal for those of us with CPTSD. But if I tend to get dysregulated when I'm hurrying, then anything I do that predictably risks that I will be late is a faulty decision. Why would I do that? Why would I sabotage myself like that? I want to be on time. I want to stay regulated. I want to keep my job. So we know from recent research that people who had trauma in childhood are often challenged to predict the risk involved in bad decisions. Neurologically, stress can bring on a temporary dimming of the ability to gauge the consequences. You miscalculate the time it takes to get to work. You can literally see this on an MRI. That's why I'm gesturing up here. You can see it on an MRI when a person with childhood trauma is stressed. the left front cortex has less activity, and that's where reasoning happens, and the right front cortex, which is where emotions happen, gets more active. So we wake up, we feel hurried, that's stressful, and then oops, our perception distorts and we make a faulty decision about when to leave the house, and then we're late, which brings on more stress, and you guessed it, the negative cycle starts again. Distorted perception, faulty decision, bad habit. So if you have that, your distorted perception can make it hard to see what is something that's just happening to you versus a problem that you're actually bringing on yourself. So instead of adjusting how you do things, you might rage at traffic or resent your boss or feel really judged by the other people who give you a dirty look when you walk in late. So however it plays out, the end result is that you feel bad about yourself. That's how it happens. That feeling of low self-esteem with maybe some distrust of other people and some confusion mixed in, that's the underdog effect. That's what makes us doubt ourselves. That's how we generate that cloud around us that feels negative to other people. So how do we change it? It's hard to control your brain functions, but it's relatively easy to work on the actions you take, the behaviors that make you feel bad about yourself. Everybody with CPTSD does better when they learn to notice when they're dysregulated and take steps to re-regulate. When negative emotions have hold of you, rather than trying to fix the emotions, if you focus on just getting re-regulated, the emotions will often come back down by themselves. So you want to keep both sides of your brain, the reasoning and the feeling, even running in harmony, so that you can know what you're feeling and care about other people and still make rational decisions. And like everyone else, we need to keep working on our habits a little bit better every day. That's how it goes. This may sound like a lot of work, but it's happy work with immediate payoffs. And it's a heck of a lot easier than staying stuck in trauma symptoms or trying to change other people, right? So listen, it's not your fault that you have childhood PTSD. The great news is healing is possible, and you can do this. You get to ask for help, and you get to decide what works for you. And that's how you come to feel good about yourself and grow your self-esteem to a level that it's unmistakable to the outside world. If you want some tips on how to start feeling happier with things that you can do right now, today, I have a free download for you that you can click on right there, and I will see you very soon.